Okay guys, now it's time for writing, so go ahead and get out your English notebook and open to the first clean page. Today's notes will be all about have and be. So that is the title of your notes. Make sure you have and be at the top, and then today's date. And we're going to we've talked about these already, but we're going to go a little more in depth. So, have and be are irregular verbs. We've already learned how to, what forms of have and be to use with singular and plural subjects. But it changes a little bit when you have pronouns as the subject. So, first we have the present tense forms of have with pronouns. So the present tense, we're going to talk about the present tense forms of have with pronouns, which are I have, you have, he, she, or it has. Now why I did this is because you're going to use has no matter what. If you're in the present tense and you are saying he, she, or it will be has. So those are the singular, and then we also have we have and they have. So these are all the present tense forms of have with singular pronouns on this line and plural pronouns on this line. So it stays have except if you have he, she, or it, in which case it changes to has. Now, present tense forms of be with pronouns. So first, let's add a little. Let's do singular pronouns and plural pronouns. Now we can't use the same rule for singular pronouns every time and plural pronouns every time. That's why have and be are so weird. And that's why we're talking about them again, because we can't follow the rules for singular and plural pronouns because it changes. I mean, have is the same in present tense for everything except for he, she, and it. So now let's look at the present tense forms of be with pronouns. So first, the singular pronouns. I am, you are, he, she, or it is. Now that changes completely. Every single form of with a singular pronoun is the same. Now for the plural pronouns. We are and they are. Now you notice that I'm not using you with plural pronouns, even though we can use you in a plural sense. Like if I'm not just talking to one person, I'm talking to all of you. That's plural, but I didn't list it again because it doesn't change. No matter whether you mean you as in one person or you as in a group of people, it stays the same. Okay, so that's the present tense forms of have and be. They really don't follow any rules. That's why we're talking about them again, this time with pronouns. Now we're going to talk about the past tense forms of each of these irregular verbs. So, first, the past tense forms of have with pronouns. Well, for the singular pronouns, we have I had, you had, he, she, Well, you had is the same whether you're talking about one person or multiple people. They had. So past tense, have stays the same no matter what. It is always had. I had, you had, he, she, or it had, we had, or they had. Have is the same in past tense. It is always had. Now, the past tense forms of be with pronouns. For singular pronouns, I was, you were, he, she, or it was. So the singular pronouns are was, except for you. Whether you're talking to one person or multiple, you would never say you was. You would say you were. For plural pronouns, we were, you were, and they were. So be does change a little bit in the past tense. Okay, now let's talk about present tense. So present tense forms of have and be are really easy because no matter what the subject is, whether it's a singular noun or a plural noun or a singular pronoun or a plural pronoun, the future tense of have is always, and you can underline always because it doesn't change, will have. So no matter what the subject, singular noun, singular pronoun, plural pronoun, the future tense of have is always will have. With be, no matter what the subject is, the future tense of be is always will be. No matter what. For have, I have, you have, I will have a sandwich. You will have a sandwich. He will have a sandwich. She will have a sandwich. It will have a sandwich. We will have a sandwich. They will have a sandwich. For be, I will be home soon. You will be home soon. He will be home soon. She will be home soon. It will be home soon. We will be home soon. And they will be home soon. So future tense of have and be is easy. It's just will, and then that base verb have or that base verb be. Okay, so now it's time we're going to do the guided practice. So open your packet to past the math and the reading for today. And first we're going to look at to be verbs, and then we are going to look at have verbs. Okay, so go ahead and look at the sheet that is titled To Be Verbs Worksheet, and we are going to choose the correct version of be. So, it says to be verbs most often work in conjunction with another verb. Those are called helping verbs. So those are often used as helping verbs. They are also used as linking verbs, which means it's by itself, but it's not an action. To be verbs include am, are, and is in the present tense, and was and were in the past tense. So what we have to do is we have to choose the correct form of be from this box to complete each sentence. So number one, I blank so happy to see you. Well, we know that we either need to use am or was, because those are the only forms that we can use with I. And And the way it says, it seems like this is happening right now. I am so happy to see you. Was would also work if you were talking to somebody, maybe you saw them yesterday and you said, I was so happy to see you. Was would work because we don't see anything here that says it's happening right now or it already happened. You'll notice that we don't have will be up here, which means we won't see any in the future tense. Number 2, you blank one of my favorite students. So again, we can either use are or were because we can use are or were because those are the only ones that work with you. And there's nothing here that tells us that it's in the present or in the past, so we can say are. Number 3, he blank late for class often. We either need to use is or was. This looks like something that happens over and over again, which remember when that happens, we use the present tense form. So we could say he is late for class often. You'll notice I'm not crossing any out because we have a lot more questions than we do options, which means some of them we're going to use more than once. Number 4, we blank so excited to go to the baseball game. Well, we can either use are or were. Let's use are because I know that we will be very excited when we are allowed to go to baseball games again. Number 5, I blank ready to move on. Again, we can use am or was. There's nothing here that tells us when it happens, so let's just use I am ready to move on. Number 6, she blank very talented. We can either use is or was. Let's use is. There's nothing in most of these sentences. So far, there's been nothing in the sentences that tell us whether it's present or past tense. So that means you could use either the present or the past tense verb of the form of the verb be. You just have to match it to the pronoun. You couldn't say, I are so happy to see you, or I is so happy to see you, or I were so happy to see you. Now, our sentences are getting a little more specific about when they're happening. Number 7, we blank all going to dinner tonight. We know that's happening. We're saying that's happening now. Or we could say it's in the future, but we don't have the future tense, so we can say we are all going to dinner tonight. We wouldn't say this if it already happened, so we can't say we were all going to dinner tonight. That wouldn't make sense. Number 8, he blank going to celebrate his birthday tonight. Again, we can't use past tense there, so we have to use present tense or future, but they're not giving us the future tense. So we have to use he is going to celebrate his birthday tonight. Number 9, we blank going on the field trip next month. Now we could use the future tense, will be, but also the present tense, are, works. Number 10, she blank not going to the fair. Well, this one doesn't say, did it already happen? Is it going to happen? Most likely we would be saying this as in it is happening, so we would say she is not going to the fair. Number 11, they blank the best class in school. Well, they're obviously talking about you guys, but they said they. And that is plural, so we need to use are or were. I'm going to say, because I'm talking about you guys, they are the best class in the school. Okay, go ahead and turn the page over, and now we are going to talk about the different forms of have. So on this side of the sheet, we really are going to have to pay more attention to when this sentence is happening. So our directions are to read the sentences, then fill in the blank with the correct form of the verb have to complete each sentence. So we have to figure out, is it has, is it have, or is it have? If you have your notes out, this will be really easy for you because you just look at the subject, which in this case is sometimes a noun and sometimes a pronoun, but it should work the same way. Like if you can replace it with he, she, or it should be the same one depending on whether it's present or past. Again, you notice we don't really have will have, so we're not going to be using that future tense form. Number 1. Paula blank a cold last week and she missed school. Well, if you're not sure and you don't have your notes out, the best way is to figure out which one sounds correct. Paula has a cold last week and she missed school. Paula have a cold and last week and she missed school. Or Paula had a cold last week and she missed school. We know that had sounds best. We also know that have is the same in past tense no matter what the subject is. Number 2, tonight Kathy will blank her birthday party. Well, we can replace Kathy with she, and it is present or future. So, tonight Kathy will have her birthday party. Number 3, luckily Maureen blank time to read us a book. Well, we have Maureen, which is a girl, so we can replace it with she. And we know that this is happening now. So that means we have to use has. Luckily, Maureen has time to read us a book. Number 4, last month, Jen and Regina blank fun roller skating. Well, this is in the past, and we know no matter what the subject is, the past tense of have is always had. Last month, Jen and Regina had fun roller skating. Number 5, I really hope that she blanked time to fix my dress. Well, this is not happening in the past. It's not really happening in the future. So we can say, we would have to use the form has. I really hope that she has time to fix my dress. Number 6, the students blank fun watching the performers act. Well, this sounds like it probably already happened. No matter what the subject is, the past tense of have is had. The students had fun watching the performers act. Number 7, he blank a new dog named Max. Well, this is probably happening now, and we know has is the form that goes with he in the present tense. Number 8, Fatima blanked to pass out papers yesterday. Well, yesterday tells us it happened in the past. The only past tense form of have is had. Number 9, now Michelle blank a big smile on her face. Well, the word now tells us it's happening now. We can replace Michelle with she, and we know has goes with she. Now Michelle has a big smile on her face. Last one, number 10, we blank fun with our friends each day. Well, each day tells us it's happening over and over again, so we use the present tense, and we know have goes with we in the present tense. We have fun with our friends each day. Okay, so now we're done with the guided practice, so what you need to do now is turn one more page, so turn it over, and you have independent practice. This is where you read the box because it's going to give you a recap on what we talked about today, and then the directions say, write the correct form of the underlined verb to complete each sentence. So you have the underlined verb, it is incorrect, you need to write it in the correct form. Okay, go ahead and do that now. If you have any questions about today's lesson, make sure to reach out to me between 1 and 5 today, and I'll help you out.